Alright, this is our next set of notes in Unit 4. Congruent triangles. This is mid-segment of triangles notes. Like I always tell you guys though, you have to pay attention if you really want to get this. It's not a hard set of notes at all, but it just requires you to pay attention. So here we go. Mid-segments of a triangle. At the top here it says, so a mid-segment of a triangle is a segment that connects the mid-segments of two sides of a triangle. Every triangle has three mid-segments. Alright. So looking over here, you got a big triangle here, ABC. Inside of that one, you have three mid-segments connected to each other. How do I know these are mid-segments? And they'll show you on an actual figure, and we'll see when we get further down. It'll be indicated to you that DE is a mid-segment, EF is a mid-segment, and DF is a mid-segment by the fact of how they mark the triangle. So on this side, they'll mark like this. On this side of the triangle, they'll mark like this, and at the bottom side, they'll probably mark it like this. What this is showing you is that on this side, AB, for example, AB, this point D is in the middle. How do I know? Because they're saying the distance from A to D and D to B is the same. So that point has to be in the middle on this side of the triangle. If that point is in the middle on this side and point E is in the middle on the side BC, meaning BE and EC are congruent, then these 2 points are in the middle on both sides of these triangles. This is a mid-segment. This segment is in the middle of the triangle. Same going this way and same going this way. When you're looking at triangles though, most of the time you won't see all three on there at once. You only see one mid-segment in there. But I'm just showing you all three together right now. Alright. Further down, let's actually name the mid-segments. So it says name the three mid-segments. The three mid-segments are DE, and then you have EF. I know they use lowercase letters, but I'm going to use uppercase. And then FD. Those are the three mid-segments in this triangle right here. And it says, which segments are congruent by definition of midpoint? Write a congruency statement. So, and this is what I just explained to you. So like I said, D is the midpoint on this side right here. So that means segment AD would have to be congruent to segment DB. If I'm going to call D a mid-segment, then that has to be true about those two segments, A to D and D to B. And the next one on the other side, if point E is a mid-segment or midpoint, it's a midpoint on this side, then that means segment BE has to be congruent to segment EC. And then the last one, if segment F is going to be a midpoint, and that means AF will be congruent to FC. That's easy enough for y'all to understand right there. So using that, now we're going to learn the mid-segment theorem, which is further down here. This is another theorem. You learned a lot of theorems so far in this unit. There's another one that I'm going to learn today. Mid-segment of a triangle theorem. This says the segment connecting the the midpoints of the two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side and has a length that is half, that's the key part right here, of the third side. So let me explain that before we get into this part down here. What they're saying is the two on, and like I told you, when you see it, most of the time you're only going to see one mid segment in your triangle. So I got a triangle ABE right here, and then in there they have this mid segment BD. How do I know it's a mid segment? Looking at the markings on the two sides here, they're showing me that AB and BC are congruent, so that means B has to be a midpoint on this side, and on this side they're showing me CD and DE are congruent, so that means D has to be a midpoint on this side. If that's the case, then this is a mid segment. And if that's the case, what they're telling you is a mid segment is parallel to the third side of the triangle. So they're saying BD is parallel to AE. And I think all of you guys can see that this side, this segment right here, is parallel to this side of the triangle. Those two are parallel to each other. That being the case, they're saying the third side of this parallel to the mid segment is half the length of that third side. So they're saying BD, whatever the length of BD, is half the length of this side that it's parallel to. So right now out over here now it says BD is parallel to AE. We already marked that. So knowing that, they want you to know this. This is the mid segment theorem kind of right here. BD, whatever that is, equals half of AE, whatever that segment would be. Or in reverse, and this is the one we're going to use most often right here, 2 times BD equals AE. Let's just go in reverse. One is if you have the full length, you cut it in half. If you have the half length, you're going to times by 2. But majority of the time, this is what we're going to do, especially when we write equations. We're doing this. We times in our half by 2. And that's the goal in any section, is to be able to write equations. We're going to start you off simple. Of course, down here at the bottom with just simple numbers. But the goal is what we're going to see on the back. But just to give you an example real quick on this one. So this is telling me that, like I said, BD is half of AE. If that's the case, if they put a number on one or the other, I should know what the other one is automatically. For example, if they tell me AE is 10, the length of AE is 10, and they ask me what is BD. If I know BD is a mid segment, I know the mid segment theorem says BD has to be half of AE. If that's the case, if AE is 10, what is BD? Think about that real quick. If AE is 10, what is BD? This ain't no trick question either. Simple math. You should be telling yourself that BD is 5. That's all we're talking about here. Mid segment is half of the side that is parallel to. I'm going to keep repeating it because, once again, as y'all know, I like for it to stick in your head. The mid segment is half of the side that is parallel to. Alright? So let's do something down here at the bottom. Example 1 and 2, easy enough. It won't get no easier than this, and you know we'll probably never ask you this on a test, but it's a good way to start so you can understand the concept. Let's solve for the missing lengths indicated. So number 1, so let's solve for CD. Looking at number 1, I'm looking at the situation here. I see that CD is my mid segment. And I see the CD, this mid segment, is parallel to this side right here. So first I'm showing myself what side is parallel to. That's that third side that's parallel to. And then they want to know what CD is. Well, on that side that it's parallel to, they got a 16. Like I said, the mid segment is half of the side that it's parallel to. So obviously CD equals 8. Most of y'all will be able to figure that out, no problem. That's easy. Other way, solve for AC on this next one. They said, so they want me to solve for AC. That's this side of the triangle. and then they're showing me TS right here, which is my mid segment. I know that this mid segment is parallel to this side of the triangle. That being said, this is a mid segment, it's parallel to this side of the triangle. This is half of this. Well, I'm looking for AC this time. This is 4. So then I'm asking myself, okay, what is AC? All you gotta do is double. 4 times 2, which is 8. And I guess I should write that out for some of y'all. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do it for some of y'all. On this one, since we were looking for the mid segment, we divided by 2. 16 divided by 2. On this one, since we were looking for the full segment, side, and we had the mid segment, I did 2 times 4. You should be able to figure this out. Let's go to the back. On the back, it says solve for X and Ln. So let's talk about this. This looks different now, but this is where we were going to get. You should have known we were coming here. Y'all already know pretty much everything we do leads to you doing some algebra. Number 3 says solve for X and solve for Ln. Obviously on this one I need to find the variable X first, and then they want me to find the length of Ln. So once I find X, I'm plugging back into this to get what Ln is. Gotta get X first though. This is the key here on the back. This is what you need to do. So we're still doing mid-segment theorem, alright? And you should still understand that EF is my mid-segment, Ln is the side that's parallel. So these two sides parallel each other. My mid-segment and this side right here are parallel. That being said, this is half of this. The question is, and I love for kids to answer this, but I know we on video today. But my question to you is, how would you be able to write an equation to solve for X? How would you be able to write an equation for this to solve for X? Remember, an equation, 2 things have to be equal. And I get the kids every year, and I got some probably thinking right now who listen to this video like, oh, I'm going to just do X plus 2 equals X plus 10. How can you do that if EF is half of Ln? You can't set 2 things that are not equal to each other. My question is, how are you going to write this equation? What adjustments are you going to make to be able to write this equation correctly? Because right now, as it sits, this is not equal to this. So don't write these 2 equal to each other. A lot of y'all are going to try to do that, and that's where kids mess up in this section. I told y'all, it's a common sense class. Use common sense. This is not equal to this. Don't set them equal to each other. You got to make adjustments first. Listen to what I said though. EF is half of Ln. EF is half of Ln. To get these equal, I need to do something to EF. And what you need to do to it is pretty simple. I know some of y'all have figured it out by now. EF, why don't I just times this by 2? You can't times an expression by 2? Yeah, you can. Watch how I write this to make an equivalent equation. I'm going to take my mid segment. I'm going to say 2 in parentheses, X plus 2 equals X plus 10. This is writing an equivalent equation for this. Now I'm doubling my mid segment and setting it equal to the side that it's parallel to. That's an easy enough concept for y'all to understand. That's what you have to do in this section. Double your mid segment to write your equation. It's easy. All you gotta do is identify your mid segment and double it. Don't overthink this. Please don't underthink it. I know some of y'all gonna try to underthink this, and y'all still gonna sit there and set 2 things equal that are not equal. You can't set things equal until you make them equal. In this case, that's what we did. So after that, y'all should know what's gonna happen. Now you just gotta solve. Distribute. Lucky enough, we've been practicing this again in our bell ringers. Hope some of y'all picked up on it. 2x plus 4 equals x plus 10, and then I need to solve. Turn to one side, cancels, left with x plus 4 equals 10, and then I need to subtract 4, x equals 6. So my x value is 6. That's easy enough. Then after that, I need to get my value for ln, and obviously that's pretty easy to do. For ln, all you gotta do is plug in 6 plus 10. Everybody should know that. I shouldn't even have to write that out for y'all. Let me just pick a color that I'm gonna use. Let's use this maroon color. So plugging in, now I know the length of ln is 16. Even without doing the math up here, what would that mean for the length of EF? If this is 16, what would EF have to be? 8, right? Well, let's check. Plug in x, 6 plus 2. The length up here for EF is 8. So that's right. This works out, and this is mid-segment. So now here ln equals 16. That's easy. And honestly, it don't get no harder than that. It really don't. That's the mid-segment stuff in a nutshell. These guys do another one over here. This problem to the right, number 4. So using what we just saw on this other problem, I'll try to maybe leave it on the screen a little bit, so you still refer back to it. We're going to set up our next one, number 4. Number 4, they're looking for x and VW. And this is why I tell you kids not to overthink this, don't underthink it either. Think about what we just did on the last problem. On this one, they want me to solve for the value x and then plug in and find VW. VW this time is the mid segment. So, like we did on the last problem, we know that the mid segment is parallel to the side that it's half of. So the middle of the segment is parallel to the side ln, and it's half of ln. The question to you is, what equation should you write? And the thing where kids get mixed up at, that's we throw extra stuff in here. And say I'm not with you, so I don't get a chance to, and I get a kid every year that helps me out and proves that we need to see this kind of situation. But a lot of y'all gonna want to use this. What does this have to do with our mid segment and our side that is parallel to right now? Absolutely nothing. But a lot of y'all, because y'all see another expression on the problem, y'all assume you have to use it. Do I need to use negative 2x minus 6? No. But some of y'all are going to see that and be like, oh, I got to use that. No, this is just a distractor in this problem. We don't even need to use this. Ignore this. It's here as a distraction. And if they ask us to find mn, after we've solved for x, we can plug back in and find what mn is, since they gave us an expression on it. But we do not need that to solve for x. This is mid-segment situation, so all I need is the mid-segment and the side that it's parallel to. What equation should I write? Y'all should know what I should write. 2 times x plus 15 equals x plus 21. And then we need to solve that. Y'all know usually at this point I would make y'all solve and I wouldn't do anything. But since I'm not there, I'm going to solve. But you should be trying to solve ahead of me. You shouldn't be waiting on me to do this problem. You about to do a whole bunch on your own in just a second anyway. 2x plus 30 equals x plus 21. Subtract x, cancels. X plus 30 equals 21. And then what is it? Subtract 30. Subtract 30. X equals, and this was some of y'all gonna get nervous and start thinking you did something wrong. X equals -9. I can have a negative variable. I sure can. What I can't have is a negative length for any of my stuff on the triangle. My variable can be negative, but X isn't a length. My length is VW. My length is LN. When you plug in and see if it still works out. If it works out, then you do it. So VW is -9 plus 15. -9 plus 15, everybody should know that is 6. If this is 6, then I should get 12 here when I plug in, right? We'll see what happens. -9 plus 21. If you do that in your calculator, you are going to get 12. 6 and 12 are my lengths. One is half of the other. So VW is the one we wanted, so we're going to put 6 here. This is what we're asking you to do today. This is what I'm asking you to do today. You know, this is not hard. You should be able to do this. Understand what you're setting up together. Ignore everything else. And write your equation and solve. Remember, the equations are not equal until you make them equal. You can't set something equal that's not to each other that's not equal. These two things are not equal. You have to make them equal by doubling this one. I'm telling you, half y'all still like you don't forget to do this and you don't want to wire your stuff wrong. You have to make these two equal to each other. You can do it by doubling this one. Well, some kids gonna ask, well, if I can double this one, why can't I just cut this one in half? And that's where you're gonna run into issue. I don't ever recommend y'all cutting in half, because cutting in half you're gonna run into a problem immediately. A lot of times when you try to cut the big one in half, you're gonna get decimals. If you try to cut this one in half, you're gonna get a decimal. What's half of 21? 11.5. And you have to write an equation using 11.5. You do not want to do that. Don't cut in half. Always double the mid segment. And some kids gonna try it though. They're like, oh, I can cut the other one in half. And nope, that's not what you want to do. And then you're gonna have half of an X too. Listen to me. Double the mid segment. Don't do what you want to do. Do what Mr. Brunson teaching you. Double the mid segment. Set it equal to the side it's parallel to. Alright. Moving on to the last section here. This section. And we do like asking you questions like this every once in a while. Not hard, those based on the same concept. It's just that all the mid segments are in now. So this says with a triangle, in a triangle, if 3 mid segments are joined and the perimeter of the smaller triangle is half the perimeter of the larger triangle. So look at that word perimeter again, but everybody knows what that means by now. We're just trying to find the length around a figure, in this case triangles. So what happens is you got a big triangle at ABC. When you throw all 3 of your mid segments in, y'all should be able to see they create another little small triangle inside of the big triangle, yes? Well, since they're saying that a mid segment is half of the side that it's parallel to, if I have all my mid segments in creating a small triangle in here, this small triangle should be half of this big triangle, yeah? Think about that. That's common sense. If a mid segment is half of the side that it's parallel to, if I put all three mid segments in and create a triangle inside of this triangle, then the perimeter around this this triangle here should be half of the perimeter around the big triangle. That's common sense. That's easy to know based on what we've been doing. Y'all shouldn't be confused about that. If that's the case, then if they give you perimeter of one, you can find the perimeter of the other, right? And so that's the logic behind this. So say I tell you the perimeter, and I'm gonna just say P because I don't feel like writing the whole word, of triangle ABC is equal to 84. The perimeter around triangle ABC is 84. That's the full perimeter around that triangle. What would the perimeter of triangle DEF be? Perimeter of triangle DEF. That's my smaller one. What would the perimeter of that one be if the perimeter of ABC is 84? Think about that for a second. A lot of y'all should be coming up with 42. And that's correct. 84 divided by 2. Cut it in half. If ABC is the big triangle, the small triangle should be half of that. The one with the created by the mid segments should be half of it. 42. That's the logic that goes behind these problems that we're about to do right now. If you can understand that, you'll understand what we're about to do in these problems right here. So, and problems 5 and 6 ask you to use the diagram above. So, but they both, have different numbers on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this diagram out for ourselves twice down here at the bottom. Make it decent size too. You got a lot of room down here. So this first one I'm going to do out here to the left. All I'm doing is recreating a diagram up here. I mean, it's off screen, but you can see it on your paper. I'm just recreating that. I ain't got my ruler right now, so I'm going to use a handy dandy little card that I got. But you can do this freehand. This ain't going to look pretty, but it can be done. And I'm just guessing my midpoint, so I'm just putting some points on here so I can draw. That's closer to the middle. It ain't gonna be perfect, like I said. You're just trying to recreate the situation, honestly, but it ain't gonna be perfect. It'll be good enough to be able to see what we need to see. So this is mine. Then after that, I'm gonna label real quick. I'm gonna use the lowercase letters that they use. A, B, C, D, E, F. So that's mine. Not bad, I know, it's pretty impressive. So this one, they give you information and they want you to determine stuff. I obviously know why I drew this out, because I want to label. I want to be able to label my stuff. So they told me first off that side AB was 26. Show you how I'm gonna mark this since we got all these letters here. I'm gonna use a little length extension right here, and I'm gonna show you that from A to B is 26. And then it said DE. No, I'm skipping. BC is 20. 20 right here. And then they tell me lastly DE is 7. DE is 7. That being said, they want me to they tell you points DE and F for midpoints. That's obvious. We already know that. So I could put my markings in if I wanted to. Here, and here. But we should already know that. Determine the perimeter of DEF. So I need to find the perimeter of DEF, which is a smaller triangle. Only length they gave me was 7 on the small triangle. But they gave me 2 other lengths on the bigger triangle, which will help me, which is good. So I got DE, I need side EF. Questioning yourself, you need to ask yourself is, okay, EF is a mid segment, which side is it parallel to? EF is parallel to what? Everybody's brain should be going, well, this is parallel to AB. That means EF is half of AB. This is quick mental math. What would EF be? Your brain should click. It should tell you EF is half of 26. That means EF is 13, right? Easy enough. Then after that, I need DF. DF is parallel to BC. They gave me BC. So DF is parallel to this. Then DF is half of this. If that's the case, DF is going to be 10. Now, they don't do it on this problem, but I'm just going to mention this while I'm at it. If you think about it, and sometimes I've seen them do this, what if they give you EC? Even though that's on the outside, EC is from the midpoint to this point right here. What if they give you EC instead? What if they gave you this and told you this was 10? You should realize that EC is congruent to DF, and you could just transfer that over 10. That would be half. But they gave me the whole thing, so I'm gonna cut it in half and get my my mid segment equal. Just pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, it's a common sense section. It's common sense stuff. You're gonna have to use some common sense. Don't be scared to. Then after that, I want my perimeter of my smaller triangle. So I'm gonna do 10 plus 13 plus 7. Get my perimeter as 30. So that's that one. Last one we need to do is number 6. Number 6, though, we're going to write some equations out. So what I want you to do, draw your triangle a little closer over here in this area for number 6. We're gonna make another triangle. We're gonna label it up like this one. But bring your triangle over here because you're gonna need a lot of gap room over to the other side to solve the equation. Not doing this one as good, but it'll get the job done. And so it ain't gotta be perfect, you just need to be able to see. And so I'm gonna just pick some midpoints. You just need to be able to see your scenario. Last one, I'm gonna label A, B, C, D, E, F. Reading it. Now, it says DE, given DE is 4x minus 7. You should already know. I'm gonna label that 4x minus 7. EF is 2x plus 13. 2x plus 13. And then FD is 7x minus 8. So they gave me all the sides on a little triangle. And then watch what they give me at the end here. It says the perimeter of ABC is 152. Solve for the value of x. You got to think about this one. They want me to solve for x. They gave me expressions on all the sides of the small triangle, but they gave me the perimeter of the big triangle ABC. How would I write an equation to solve for x? I want you to think about that real quick. How would I write an equation to solve for x? It's clicking in some people's brain. Some of y'all not thinking about it yet, but think about what we just saw up top earlier. If I know the perimeter of the big triangle, shouldn't I know the perimeter of the small one? Why? The perimeters, the big triangle perimeter is double of the small one. The small one is half of the big one. So if I know the perimeter, I can use that. The question is, what's the perimeter of DEF? You should know, looking up here, we did it up here. I'm going to divide this by 2, right? So do that. Take 152, divide that by 2. That's going to give me my perimeter of my smaller triangle, DEF. You should get, when you do that in the calculator, 100 and, I'm messing up, y'all. Good video, too. Scratch that, not 100. 76, my bad. You're going to get 76. 76, that's what I want to use as my perimeter. That's my perimeter of my small triangle DEF. Then after that, you just need to write the equation. These aren't angles, so those kids thinking 180 and junk, leave that out. Have we talked about 180 at all today? No, because we've been dealing with sides the whole time, right? Have I mentioned an angle at all to y'all today? No. So don't y'all start going backtracking and thinking about stuff we ain't talked about. We ain't talked about 180 not once today, right? Because we've been talking about sides. So don't you go there. I'm going to be mad if you do. On this is perimeter. These are sides. So to get value of x, the whole perimeter is 76. But I just want to know what x is. So I'm going to write the equation, and it don't matter which one you start with. 4x minus 7 plus 2x plus 13 plus 7x minus 8 equals 76. That's my equation to solve for x. And then y'all can solve for x. You know I'm not about to do that. Solve this for x. And then complete your notes, please. Alright? While you're doing that, I'm going to do a little bit of talking. So things you need to do after you finish this notes, after you solve for x on this one. If you one of the ones doing your notes based off the video today, which is November the 5th, you need to, after you finish notes, you need to go to Delta Math and do the problems I set out for you on there, on Delta Math. And then after that, you need to do the home learning for the day, and you can submit that. Matter of fact, before you do Delta Math real quick, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run through some of the practice on your sheet, on the next sheet, just a couple problems. I'm going to do them real quick too. And you know you're responsible for the home learning, but you also have a Delta Math for me that you got to do. It's only one topic, and because it's just straight mid segment, there's nothing else. It's only one topic, and you got to do some problems on that because I want you to see some problems on the computer as well. So do the Delta Math and then do your home learning, and you can submit that too if you finish. Most of y'all should finish with everything on time in class, Those who don't, you taking work home with you, and that's your decision. But what I was gonna say, the delta math is gonna be called the same thing. These notes are called mid segment of triangles. So it should be easy for you to find. Let me go to the practice real quick and flow through a couple. I'm gonna take about maybe 3 minutes on the practice. So exercise 1 and 2 at the top this is practice. And these triangle MN, yeah. These are midpoints. These are my midpoints. And so these are mid segments. Name each pair of sides that are parallel to each other. So this is important because kids be getting this out wrong. Name the parallel sides. So let's start here. MP is parallel to IJ. Then you got MN is parallel to HJ. And then you got NP, which is parallel to IH. You can do obviously number 2 on your own. Solve for the missing length indicator. On number 3, I'm doing number 3. Number 3 is solve for TU. TU is my mid segment. This is my side that's parallel to my mid segment. Obviously, my mid segment is half of that. TU equals 5. Let's not play those games. The last one I'm gonna do. Number 5, solve for X and the length indicated. So I'm going to solve for X and then RQ. On this one, remember, 2 sides are parallel. This is my mid segment. That's my side parallel to it. Mid segment is half of that, so I need to double. 2 times X minus 1 equals X plus 9. Distribute. 2x minus 2 equals x plus 9. Yeah. Subtract x. Cancels. X minus 2 equals 9. And then add 2. X equals 11. Alright. So I get x equals 11. And then from there, plugging in, they want RQ, which is the midpoint. So if I plug into that one, 11 minus 1 is 10. And just to check to make sure you're good, you can do it one up here. 11 plus 9 is 20. But they want RQ, which is 10. Easy work. Handle the rest on your own. Like I said, go do my stuff on Delta Math, the mid segment practice, and then come back and do your home learning and submit that as well. Alright, have a good rest of your day. Peace.